Another episode of The Crossovers here with your hosts Brian and Ravi. Ravi, what you got to say to the people?
Hey man, I just got a nice late night workout in, so letting all the viewers know. Get your widescreens on, get your panoramic view on, get your settings up right now for the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Well, you heard the man. So let's get into this, man. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. So first topic, man. We got off last week, and we finished the show, and then boom, it hit us. Rose out for at least it seems like now 4 to 6 weeks, which there is some good news in that sense. But man, what's your thoughts on the overall? What's your assessment on what's going on here in Chicago?
Man, the first thing that came through my head was that old Chris Rock bit about Michael Jackson. Another kid. That was the first thing that came through my head. Another kid, another injury. That was the first thing that came through my head. But no, seriously, I think I think we've been waiting the last 3 years now for Chicago to take that next step, and I think obviously the constant injuries to Rose, and it's not just little small injuries; it's pretty major injuries to him. I think it's really time that Chicago needs to start looking in another direction. If he comes back, which he will, I think they have to look at it as whatever Rose gives them is a bonus, and not look to him to take them to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think when you look at Rose, you got to start thinking about cutting ties in some ways. I think you do have to look and be questionable about. I mean, we discussed before. You have to be questionable about the Chicago staff and what Thibodeau does with the minutes. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just got to be a focus on. We just found out today Jimmy Butler's hurt now. I mean, some of these are freak things, but why does it always seem to be Chicago with with the infirmary, like the MASH unit? I don't get it. And at some point, you have to look at the coach and the training staff.
Well, you got to look at the coach. You got to look at the training staff. I think Jimmy Butler's actually leading the league in minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
and he's been the top three for a few years. And
the GM has, I believe, he had a talk with Thibodeau at the beginning of the season, and there's a minute restriction on Noah, and there's a minute restriction obviously on Rose as well. So I mean, just the fact that the GM has to get involved and put those types of stipulations in, it already gives you a sense that maybe you're running these guys too hard. And I think what really bothers me when I watch some of these games it's either games where they're really, really out of it, or games where they have it wrapped up and he still has his main guys out there on the floor. Right. And I mean, at some point, you really got to look at that. And you touched on it to the training staff. I don't see any other star players getting hurt with this, at this frequency.
I mean, Dang almost lost his life with this team. I mean, you got to start wondering, what the heck's going on around there with Chicago? And Thibodeau's stubbornness not to actually relent a little bit is going to be his downfall, I think, when it's all said and done. So, as far as Rose goes, I think at this point, I think he's pretty much done as an impact player. He's just, the way he plays and his style, you just got to wonder, can he actually be effective the way he likes to play? So,
I don't see him as being a guy that will, I think how he plays is how he knows how to play.
Right, it's instinctive.
Yeah, I can't see him changing up his game too drastically, to accommodate for whatever injury problems that he may have. And I think just last point here, just looking forward to a couple months in the playoffs. I think Chicago will. I still think they'll be a tough out, but they're not going to be doing.
They're always a tough out, but the same result happens every year.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's what saves his job.
Right,
to a certain
it's always
extent.
The glass half full type of thing.
Exactly.
We had so and so. There's always a at some point.
We've been saying that for the last 3-4 years.
Right,
now.
the ifs run dry at some point, man. Anyhow, we'll move on from Chicago, from the Windy City. We'll head a little south to Big D, my team. Oh boy.
So I let you take this one since this is your squad.
Wow. Remember a few months ago when this deal went down? I told you then. I said to you then. I said, let's slow down the ticker tape parade. Because my spidey senses said this might not be the best deal possible. I said, you know how Rondo plays? I know how Dallas likes to play.
Yeah.
That's like oil and water. For folks that don't know their science in this case, they don't mix. And I sit there going, I don't like the feel of it. It's great for a fantasy club, but but I look at how the two entities play, and it wasn't looking good. Never mind, my bench pretty much got wiped out. And I said to myself, like, okay, we'll see how this plays out. Now, to me, I think this is a response for pretty much Dallas pretty much flopping in the free agency market. I also mentioned that as well. I said, these dudes that want to make these, remember we had the one about taking hometown discounts.
Exactly.
I said, like, how's that working out for Dirk? Yeah.
Not too well for Dirk right now at all.
Chandler Parsons pretty much giving the same numbers he's giving in Houston, but getting paid twice as much, or 3 times as much maybe. How is that working out for you? And now, for desperation, now Cuban trying to make a splash to kind of make up for it. He goes and drags Rondo into this. And I'm like, oh, this is a nightmare. So they light up with each other. I think during the Raptors game, was it? When they get in each other's faces, Carlisle and Rondo. Rondo's like benched. I don't even know what's going to happen, but at this point with the two of them, pretty much we're going to guarantee that Rondo will not be back with Dallas next season. So now we traded our bench, a nice young player, and a good utility guy. You can say, hey, what the heck? You get those anywhere. So be it. But now you're ending up with none of that, and you still don't have Rondo when it's all said and done. Because I don't think, obviously, Rondo's not sticking there. He might come to your team, by the way, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and I've already heard that talk of him coming to LA. Yeah. And I mean, Laker fans, calm down. I mean, nothing's gonna happen. Yeah. It's gonna, Kobe's gonna co-sign it. Because Rondo has that type of mentality that he likes. Right. And sometime in mid-November there's gonna be a flare-up, and it's all gonna go to hell. There we go again. It's all gonna go to hell. So let's calm down. Like I mean. Would I sign him to the Lakers? I'd sign him. I wouldn't give him max money by no stretch.
Done. Like, he's done as far as getting that money. He will never see that type of money ever again. So
you'd be surprised now. I mean, some teams, I don't know what they're doing.
I know. Yeah, true. That is true, because we don't know how stupid GMs can be. And then they still want to put limits on guys' contracts and then pay them all sorts of money. Yeah, we won't go down that path today. We got plenty of the offseason to discuss that nonsense. But when it's all said and done, when you look at how his play has just dropped like a stone, like, I mean, you can't look at him and see him as like some $17, $18 million players. No way. I mean, he might get 10, 12 million on the market, maybe 13 probably. But
I think anything more than 12 to 13 is way too much.
Way too much, because let's face it, he's a point guard. There's a dime a dozen good point guards in the league.
Yeah,
like, it's the easiest position you could get a good competitive guy at. So,
well, hey man, like, I don't even know what the market is like. The market is just out of whack in the league, because you have Tristan Thompson turning down a $12 million
I mentioned $1,000 yesterday. Tristan Thompson won $13 million.
I tell you, boy, he got that Booby Gibson mentality right now, playing with LeBron.
And doesn't grab any defensive rebounds whatsoever at 6'11".
Hey Tristan, Keisha Cole is not walking through that door.
Wow, we're putting on blast like that. Damn. Are they together anymore? But anyhow.
No, thank God.
Oh boy, you have a good point there, all right.
You want to talk about overachieving? Oh boy, that's overachieving at its finest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he really milked that one series real well, guy. Was it against Detroit? He milked that series.
I'm telling you, boy, LeBron, he should have a picture of LeBron light 2 candles and pay homage every night when he comes home.
No doubt. Let's move on from the candle lighting to what, speaking about LeBron. Cleveland's had an interesting weekend. And the Cavaliers, overall they've been playing great. A lot of doom and gloom at the beginning of the season, but they lost 2 straight. But they played well overall the last month or so. And pretty much since LeBron came back from his 2-week hiatus, and also the pretty much the trades as well, that combo has been really good for them. I think what we saw, just working our way backwards, Houston's game yesterday, and they're talking overall about what we saw for the top players. I think right now we're looking at a 3-man race for the MVP as far as I'm concerned. It's Curry, it's Harden, it's LeBron. And it was honestly, from a competitive standpoint, for a regular season game, I don't think I've ever seen a game that competitive in a long, long time. I mean, as I said, T and I were watching the game. I was harkening back to the 90s watching this game. It's like, I haven't seen a game like that in so long. Where it's like, testiness, guys in people's faces. I told T at one point, it's like, boy, it's an old-fashioned game. We're finishing this game at 6:30 Eastern Standard, guy. All the whistles and tossing and whatever.
That's the old school Sunday games that we used to watch.
Exactly. It was all sorts of commotion going on. So, we talked offline about, just to get the Harden incident out of the way. At least the league did the right thing. He had to get suspended a game for kicking someone. You don't kick a man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can. I mean, guys get ejected for yelling at each other.
Right.
And you kick a guy and you're in the game, you're still in the game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he got his 1 game suspension, which is, I think that's fair, obviously. And but I totally agree with your assessment with regards to the 3-man race for MVP. If I had to rank them right now, I would have them. I would still have Steph Curry at 1, Harden at 2, and LeBron at 3. But I think as the weeks go on, if the Cavs and LeBron continue as they have been for the past 2 months or so, I can. It'll be interesting coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping Curry at 1 right now just because. He's been doing it since the start of the season. He's had, Golden State has they got off to a great start, and that can definitely be attributed to how he's been playing. LeBron has definitely come on, more so in the second half. So we'll see how he finishes up.
I have right now Harden 1. I think it's really a lot for the last week watching Harden 1. Curry 2, and LeBron breathing down Curry's back at 3. I think LeBron will pass him by the time the season's done. I think Golden State's not going to keep this pace up for one thing. I think true Curry, as great as he is, I think because he's got a lot of help with him to some extent, as well as LeBron. But I think if you watch how LeBron plays in that team, like when it's all said and done, they don't go anywhere unless LeBron's doing it. When it's all said and done, and the talent around Cleveland, after you get past the big 3. It's a lot of journeyman dudes, really, when you look at it. It's not like it's compared to Golden State, who has, of course, the Splash Brothers, but they got a guy, David Lee, coming off the bench as a former All-Star. They have a top 10 draft pick in Harrison Barnes playing, and who in this case, if playing on other teams, in this case, he'd be starting for one thing. As he's in Golden State, but it'll be a bigger focal point.
Now, I agree with you there, but I don't think that Curry should be penalized for having the team he has.
I'm not penalizing. I'm just saying in this case here, I think that when you watch how much LeBron does for his team versus what Curry has to do for his team, I only think he has to do as much. And fair enough, that might be his team, but I think it's just the player himself. LeBron, when you look at defensively, LeBron had about 2 or 3 track down blocks yesterday. It was ridiculous.
And it was good to see because I was wondering where that LeBron had gone.
LeBron's been back for about 6 weeks now, man. He's had a freedom since he's had his little vacation or the case may be. So
I think he got a couple weeks away to get his mind right and just get away from the whole circus for a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, the LeBron that we've been seeing the last month and a half now. That's the guy that I've been wondering, where was he in the first half of the season?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I totally agree with you. I think if Cleveland keeps this up, he definitely has a chance to put his mark. And if you put Harden at #1, I can't argue with that either because he's been doing it without Howard.
Well, he's doing it without Howard, and it's if you look at the team, really, where are you getting your offense from? You're sitting there watching this, but okay, Ariza can give you a good 16 to 18. And
and that's a good night.
Oh, good, right? Who's giving you anything? It's just a bunch of dudes out there, and they're decent players. But holy cow! Everyone knows he's getting the ball.
It's pass the ball to Will.
Right, it's 28 points a night. He's putting up 6 assists or something like that. It's crazy numbers. And hey, we ripped on Harden for years about the Matador defense. Dude's getting after it, man, these days. So to me, it'd be hard pressed not to give it to Harden this year. So that's my take on it, man. That's my hot take on it, folks. Man, my hot take.
The hot take on it. The hot take on it. I like that. I like that.
Man. So man, we'll wrap it up there, man, because there's so much going on. I'm sure as the association always has more stories, more subplots, and more headlines coming next week. So Ravi, where can the good folks find you, man?
You guys can find me at Mr. Ravi _Porvita.
All right, and you can find me as always at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM, man. Everybody take care, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace.